The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and despair, but Emma Carter's eyes burned with defiance. At 25, she'd learned to carry her pain like a badge, each scar a story of survival. 8 years ago, her father's fist had shattered her spine and her world, all because she dared to love a girl. Emma's fingers trembled as she clutched the letter in her hand, the crisp paper crumpling under her grip. It was her last chance, a desperate plea to the man who'd left her broken, now a wealthy recluse living off oil money in Texas. She needed his fortune not for revenge, but for the experimental surgery that could save her life. The door creaked open and Lily Bennett stepped in, her blonde hair catching the fluorescent light like a halo. At 26, Lily was all sharp edges and soft promises, her blue eyes locking onto Emma's with an intensity that made the sterile room feel alive. "You don't have to do this alone," Lily said, her voice low but steady, kneeling beside Emma's wheelchair. Their hands found each other, fingers lacing together like they had 1,000 times before. 8 years earlier, Emma had been a vibrant 17-year-old, captain of her high school's soccer team in the small town of Willow Creek, Georgia. Her laughter used to echo across the fields, her dreams of college and freedom as boundless as the summer sky. She'd met Lily at a church youth group, an ironic twist for two girls who'd later find solace in each other's arms instead of scripture. Their first kiss had been behind the old oak tree in Willow Creek Park, under a sky streaked with pink and gold. Emma had felt her heart race, not just from the thrill of Lily's lips but from the terrifying certainty that she'd found her truth. She hadn't meant for her father, Pastor John Carter, to find out, not yet. But secrets in small towns spread like wildfire. John Carter was a man of God and wrath, his sermons thundering with warnings of sin. When he caught Emma and Lily holding hands in the church parking lot, his face twisted with rage. "You're no daughter of mine," he'd spat, dragging Emma home. That night, his anger exploded. His fists didn't stop until Emma lay crumpled on the living room floor, her legs no longer answering her will. He'd fled town the next day, leaving her mother to sob over hospital bills and a daughter who'd never walk again. Emma's mother, Clara, had tried to hold the family together, but the shame of her husband's actions and the town's whispers drove her to silence. She loved Emma but couldn't face the truth of her daughter's identity. When Emma turned 18, Clara sent her to live with an aunt in Atlanta, claiming it was for her own good. Emma never heard from her father again until now. The letter in Emma's hand was her own, drafted with Lily's help over sleepless nights. It wasn't an apology or a plea for forgiveness. It was a demand. John Carter had built a fortune in Texas, his oil investments turning him into a millionaire, while Emma scraped by on disability checks and part-time freelance writing. Her condition was deteriorating: chronic pain, infections, and a failing body that doctors said could be saved with a risky, cutting-edge surgery. The cost? $500,000, far beyond her reach. "I can't believe I'm doing this," Emma whispered, her voice cracking. Lily squeezed her hand, her touch grounding Emma against the storm of emotions. "He owes you," Lily said fiercely. "Not just for what he did, but for every day you fought to survive." Lily had been Emma's rock since that first kiss. She dropped out of college to work as a barista, then a graphic designer, to help pay for Emma's medical expenses. They lived together in a cramped Atlanta apartment, their love a quiet rebellion against a world that had tried to break them. But love couldn't pay for surgery, and Emma's time was running out. The letter was simple but brutal. "I'm your daughter, the one you left paralyzed for loving who I love. I need your money to live. You owe me that much." Emma had included medical records, proof of her condition, and a deadline: 2 weeks. She didn't know if her father would respond, or if he'd even care. But she had to try. As Lily mailed the letter, Emma stared out the hospital window, the Atlanta skyline blurring through her tears. She remembered the girl she'd been at 17, fearless and in love, before her father's hatred stole her legs and her future. Now she was fighting for both. The days that followed were a haze of hope and dread. Emma and Lily went through their routines: physical therapy, late-night talks, stolen kisses in the dim light of their apartment. But the weight of the letter hung over them. What if John ignored it? What if he sent lawyers instead of money? Or worse, what if he wanted to see her? A week later, the phone rang. Emma's heart stopped as Lily answered, her face paling. "It's him," Lily whispered, handing the phone to Emma. John Carter's voice was cold, clipped, unchanged by time. You think you can guilt me, girl? You want my money, you come to Texas and face me. Emma's breath caught. Texas. Her father's domain, a place of wealth and secrets. She looked at Lily, whose eyes blazed with determination. We'll go, Lily said, not breaking eye contact. Together. The decision was made in that moment, a pact sealed by love and necessity. Emma didn't know if confronting her father would save her life or destroy what little she had left. But she knew she couldn't back down, not now, not ever. The road to Texas stretched endlessly before them, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through fields of dust and dreams. Emma sat in the passenger seat of their beat-up sedan, her wheelchair folded in the back, while Lily gripped the steering wheel, her jaw set. They were two women against the world, chasing a ghost who held the key to Emma's survival. The journey from Atlanta to Houston was over 800 miles, and every mile felt like a step into enemy territory. Emma's mind churned with memories she tried to bury, her father's voice booming from the pulpit, his hands heavy with judgment. She glanced at Lily, whose fierce love had kept her afloat through years of pain. You sure about this? Emma asked, her voice barely above the hum of the engine. Lily's eyes flicked to her, softening. I'm sure about you. She reached over, her hand finding Emma's, their fingers intertwining. It was a small gesture, but it anchored Emma against the fear gnawing at her chest. They stopped at a diner in Mississippi, the kind with sticky tables and coffee that tasted like regret. Emma maneuvered her wheelchair through the narrow aisle, ignoring the stares from truckers and locals. Lily ordered for them pancakes for her, eggs for Emma, her voice steady despite the tension. Over breakfast they planned their approach. John Carter lived in a gated mansion outside Houston, a world away from the dusty church in Willow Creek. He'd agreed to meet, but his tone on the phone had been ice cold, promising nothing. He's not going to make this easy, Emma said, pushing her eggs around her plate. He never does. Lily leaned forward, her blue eyes fierce. Then we make him listen. You're not the scared kid he left behind. You're stronger than he'll ever be. The words lit a fire in Emma's chest, but doubt lingered. She'd spent years rebuilding herself, piece by piece, through therapy and love and sheer stubbornness. But facing her father meant facing the girl she'd been broken, betrayed, abandoned. Could she do it without crumbling? They arrived in Houston under a sky heavy with clouds, the city's sprawl a stark contrast to Willow Creek's quiet streets. John's mansion loomed behind iron gates, all glass and stone, a monument to his wealth. Emma's stomach twisted as they pulled up to the intercom. Lily pressed the button, her voice steady as she announced their arrival. The gates swung open, silent and slow like a predator's jaws. Inside, the house was a labyrinth of marble and silence. A housekeeper led them to a study where John Carter waited, his presence filling the room like a storm cloud. He was older now, his hair graying, but his eyes still held the same unyielding judgment. He didn't stand when Emma wheeled in, didn't offer a greeting. You've got some nerve, he said, his voice low and hard. Coming here, demanding my money. Emma's hands tightened on her wheelchair's armrests. I'm not here to beg, she said, her voice steady despite the pounding in her chest. You owe me. You took my legs. You don't get to take my life too. John's lips curled into a sneer. You brought this on yourself, living in sin. You think I'm going to fund your lifestyle? Lily stepped forward, her body a shield between Emma and her father. Her lifestyle? She's fighting to live, you coward. You did this to her. The room crackled with tension, years of pain and anger colliding. John's eyes flicked to Lily, then back to Emma. You want my money? Prove you're worth it. Stay here under my roof for a month. Follow my rules. No distractions. His gaze lingered on Lily, the word dripping with contempt. Emma's heart sank. A month in this house, under his control? It was a trap, a power play to break her all over again. But the surgery was her only shot, and the clock was ticking. She looked at Lily, whose face was a storm of rage and love. We'll do it, Emma said, her voice firm. But not for you. For me. John's smile was cold, victorious. We'll see if you can handle it. That night in the guest room, John assigned them separate beds. Appointed Jab Emma and Lily lay awake, their hands clasped across the gap. I can't lose you, Lily whispered, her voice breaking. Emma squeezed her hand, tears burning her eyes. You won't. We're stronger than him. The days that followed were a test of endurance. John's rules were suffocating: no public displays of affection, no leaving the house without permission, daily Bible study sessions where he preached repentance. Emma felt like a prisoner in a gilded cage, her father's presence a constant weight. But Lily was her lifeline, stealing moments of tenderness when John wasn't watching, a brush of fingers, a whispered, "I love you." Yet the mansion held secrets. Late at night, Emma heard footsteps, hushed voices. She caught glimpses of documents on John's desk, legal papers, financial records, names she didn't recognize. Something was wrong, and it wasn't just her father's hatred. He was hiding something, and Emma needed to know what. One evening, while John was out, Emma wheeled into his study, Lily at her side. They found a locked drawer, and Lily's nimble fingers made quick work of it. Inside were letters, contracts, and a name that made Emma's blood run cold. Dr. Alan Kessler, the surgeon who could perform her operation. Her father was funding his research. Why would he do that? Emma whispered, her mind racing. Lily's face hardened. Because he's playing God. He wants control even over your life. The discovery lit a spark in Emma. Her father wasn't just a monster, was a manipulator, and she was done being his pawn. She needed his money, but she'd get it on her terms. The month wasn't over, but the game had changed. The air in John Carter's mansion was thick with secrets, each day a battle to keep Emma's spirit intact. She and Lily moved through the house like ghosts, their love confined to stolen glances and whispered promises. But the discovery of Dr. Kessler's name had shifted something in Emma's quiet rage that burned brighter than her fear. John's rules grew stricter, his sermons more pointed. He'd watch Emma during dinner, his eyes dissecting her every move, as if waiting for her to crack. "You can still be saved," he'd say, his voice a low growl. "Renounce this life, and God will forgive you." Emma would meet his gaze, her chin lifted. "I don't need your God's forgiveness. I need your signature on a check." Lily's presence kept Emma grounded, but the strain was wearing on them both. One night, as they lay in their separate beds, Lily's voice broke the silence. "I hate seeing you like this, Em. Trapped in his world again." Emma reached across the gap, her fingers finding Lily's. "It's temporary," she whispered. "We're here for the surgery, not for him." But the mansion's secrets were unraveling. Emma noticed inconsistencies: John's late-night phone calls, his sudden trips to Dallas, the way the housekeeper avoided certain rooms. She and Lily began to piece things together, sneaking into the study when John was gone. They found more documents. Contracts linking John to Kessler's clinic, emails hinting at a deal. John wasn't just funding the surgeon who was an investor, profiting from experimental treatments like the one Emma needed. The realization hit Emma like a punch. Her father wasn't just withholding money out of spite. He was leveraging her life for his own gain. "He's using my surgery as a bargaining chip," she told Lily, her voice shaking with fury. "He wants me to beg, to break, so he can feel like he's won." Lily's eyes blazed. "Then we take the fight to him. We find proof, expose him. He can't hide forever." They devised a plan. Gather enough evidence to force John's hand, whether through public pressure or legal threats. It was risky, but Emma was done playing by his rules. Their chance came during a charity gala John hosted, a glittering event attended by Houston's elite. Emma and Lily were allowed to attend, but only as props, John's way of showing the world he was a forgiving father. Emma wore a navy dress that hugged her frame, her wheelchair polished to a shine. Lily stood beside her, stunning in emerald green, her hand never far from Emma's. The gala was a sea of wealth and hypocrisy, guests fawning over John while whispering about Emma's condition. She overheard snippets: pity, judgment, curiosity. But Emma kept her head high, her eyes scanning the room for clues. She noticed Kessler himself, a wiry man with sharp eyes, speaking to John in hushed tones. Lily leaned down, whispering, "We need to get him alone." Emma nodded, her heart pounding. They waited until Kessler stepped away, then approached him near the bar. "Dr. Kessler," Emma said, her voice steady. "I'm Emma Carter. I believe you're working with my father." Kessler's face paled, but he recovered quickly. "Your father's a generous investor," he said, his tone cautious. "His support is saving lives." Emma leaned forward, her eyes locking onto his. Including mine? Or is my surgery just another line item in his portfolio? Kessler hesitated, then excused himself, but not before Emma caught the flicker of guilt in his eyes. She and Lily exchanged a glance, confirmation they were onto something. That night they snuck back into the study, finding a hidden USB drive in John's desk. It held financial records, emails, and a contract tying John to Kessler's clinic. He wasn't just an investor. He was manipulating the clinic's trials, prioritizing patients who could pay or those he could control. Emma's hand shook as she copied the files onto her phone. This could ruin him, she whispered. Lily's jaw tightened. Good. Let him fall. But their victory was short-lived. The next morning John confronted them, his face a mask of rage. You think you can snoop through my things? He roared, holding the USB drive. Emma's heart sank. Found it. You're playing a dangerous game, girl. You want that surgery? You'll do exactly as I say. He laid out his terms. Emma would publicly renounce her lifestyle, attend conversion therapy, and cut ties with Lily. In return, he'd pay for the surgery. The words hit Emma like a physical blow, but Lily's hand on her shoulder kept her steady. No, Emma said, her voice cold. You don't get to control me anymore. John's eyes narrowed. Then you get nothing. He stormed out, leaving Emma and Lily in stunned silence. But Emma wasn't defeated. She had the copied files and she had Lily. They'd find another way. The mansion felt like a prison now, each day a countdown to Emma's breaking point. Her health was slipping, more pain, more infections, her body betraying her as fiercely as her father had. But the files on her phone were a lifeline, proof of John's corruption that could force his hand. Lily spent hours researching, her laptop glowing late into the night. She found a lawyer in Atlanta, Sarangwin, who specialized in medical ethics cases. Sarah was intrigued by their story and agreed to meet if they could get to her. The problem was getting out of John's house. He'd tightened his grip, monitoring their calls, restricting their movements. The gala had been their last taste of freedom. We need to leave, Lily said one night, her voice urgent. He's not going to give you the money, Em. He's just stringing you along. Emma nodded, her resolve hardening. We'll go. But we take the evidence with us. Their escape was planned with precision. Late at night, when the house was quiet, Lily packed a small bag while Emma transferred the files to a secure cloud drive. They waited until the housekeeper was asleep, then slipped out through a side door, Lily pushing Emma's wheelchair across the lawn. The sedan was parked a block away, hidden from John's cameras. They drove into the night, hearts pounding, Houston's lights fading behind them. The road back to Atlanta was a blur of fear and hope. Emma's condition worsened during the drive, her fever spiking. Lily pulled over at a gas station, her hands shaking as she checked Emma's temperature. We're almost there, she said, her voice thick with tears. Hold on, Em. They reached Sarah's office at dawn, exhausted but determined. Sarah was a no-nonsense woman in her 40s, her desk cluttered with case files. She listened as Emma recounted her story, from the night her father attacked her to the discovery of his ties to Kessler's clinic. When Emma showed her the files, Sarah's eyes widened. This is explosive, she said. Your father's not just an investor manipulating patient access to experimental treatments. If we go public, it could destroy him. Emma hesitated. Destroying her father had never been her goal, but survival was. What are our options? She asked. Sarah laid it out. They could sue John for damages, using the assault and his financial misconduct as leverage, or they could go to the press, exposing his corruption to force him to pay for the surgery. Both paths were risky. John had money, lawyers, and influence. Lily squeezed Emma's hand. Whatever you choose, I'm with you. Emma took a deep breath, her mind racing. A lawsuit could take years and she didn't have that kind of time. Going public was faster but would expose her pain to the world. She thought of the girl she'd been at 17, hiding her love for Lily, and the woman she'd become, unafraid, unashamed. We go public, she said. He doesn't get to hide anymore. Sarah moved quickly, contacting a journalist friend at a major news outlet. Within days, the story broke. Pastor turned oil magnate accused of abusing daughter, manipulating medical trials. The article included Emma's account, backed by the files, and a photo of her and Lily, their hands clasped, defiance in their eyes. Social media exploded, hashtags like Justice for Emma trending nationwide. John's response was swift and brutal. He released a statement denying everything, painting Emma as a troubled child seeking attention. He hired a PR firm and soon, articles questioning Emma's credibility surfaced. The backlash was vicious: online trolls, hate mail, even threats. Emma's health faltered under the stress, landing her back in the hospital. Lily never left her side, sleeping in a chair by Emma's bed. "We're close," she whispered, brushing a strand of hair from Emma's face. "He's scared. That's why he's fighting dirty." Emma nodded, too weak to speak but drawing strength from Lily's presence. The world was watching now and John's empire was cracking. Then came a breakthrough. A whistleblower from Kessler's clinic came forward, corroborating Emma's evidence. The clinic was under investigation, and John's name was at the center. Public pressure mounted, and donors began pulling funding from his ventures. Cornered, John reached out through his lawyer, offering to pay for the surgery anonymously, no strings attached. Emma stared at the offer, her heart torn. It was what she'd fought for, but it felt like a hollow victory. "He's not doing this out of guilt," she said to Lily. "He's doing it to save himself." Lily's eyes softened. "Maybe, but you're the one who wins, Em. You get to live." The hospital room in Atlanta was quieter than the one in Houston, but the weight of the past month pressed heavily on Emma's chest. She lay in bed, IVs snaking from her arm, while Lily sat beside her, scrolling through updates on her phone. The world outside was still buzzing with their story, but for Emma, the fight was no longer about headlines, it was about surviving the surgery. John's offer had come with a catch: silence. He'd pay for the procedure, but only if Emma signed an NDA, burying the truth about his actions. She'd stared at the contract for hours, her father's signature a jagged reminder of his betrayal. Lily had urged her to take the deal, tears in her eyes. "It's not about him, Em. It's about you living. We'll tell the world later when you're stronger." Emma agreed, but not because she trusted her father. She signed because she wanted a future with Lily, with herself, with the chance to walk again, even if the odds were slim. The surgery was scheduled for the following week, Dr. Kessler himself flying in to perform it. The irony wasn't lost on Emma: her father's money and his surgeon, saving her life after he'd tried to destroy it. The days before the surgery were a blur of tests and quiet moments. Lily filled the room with small comforts: Emma's favorite books, a playlist of their songs, a photo of them at Willow Creek Park, young and in love. "We're going back there," Lily said one night, her voice fierce with hope. "When you're better, we'll dance under that oak tree." Emma smiled, her heart aching with love. "You're terrible at dancing," she teased, her voice weak but warm. Lily laughed, leaning in to kiss her forehead. "Then you'll have to teach me." The morning of the surgery, Emma felt a calm she hadn't expected. Fear was there, but so was certainty. She'd faced her father, exposed his secrets, and survived his hatred. Whatever happened on the operating table, she'd already won. Lily held her hand as they wheeled her toward the OR, their eyes locked until the doors closed. The surgery lasted 12 hours. Lily waited, pacing the hospital halls, her phone buzzing with messages of support from strangers who'd followed their story. Sarah, the lawyer, stopped by with coffee and updates. The clinic's investigation was expanding, and John's empire was crumbling. But Lily's focus was on Emma, on the promise of a future they'd fought so hard for. When Emma woke, the world was hazy, pain threading through her body. Lily was there, her face pale but smiling. "You did it," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're here." Emma couldn't feel her legs yet. The doctors warned it could take months, if it happened at all, but she felt Lily's hand in hers, and that was enough. Recovery was grueling, each day a battle against pain and doubt. Emma pushed through, driven by the image of dancing with Lily under that oak tree. Physical therapy became her new fight, each small movement a victory. Lily was there for every step, literally and figuratively, her love a steady flame against the darkness. Months later, Emma stood on shaky legs, her cane a new extension of her will. They returned to Willow Creek Park, the oak tree still standing, its branches heavy with autumn leaves. The townspeople watched, some with curiosity, others with quiet respect. Emma and Lily didn't care. They held each other, swaying to music only they could hear. their laughter echoing across the field. John Carter's name faded from the headlines, his wealth no match for the truth. Emma never heard from him again, but she didn't need to. She had her life, her love, and a strength her father could never take. The surgery had given her a chance, but it was Lily's love and her own courage that had saved her. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Emma leaned into Lily, their hands intertwined. "We made it," she whispered. Lily kissed her, soft and sure. "We always will." Their story wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving, about choosing love over hate, truth over silence. Emma knew the road ahead would be hard, but with Lily by her side, she was ready for anything. The world had tried to break them, but they'd built something unbreakable instead. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.